How we doing, everybody? We are back here for episode 24 of Heintz Sight. Hold on, let me fix this real quick. Okay, there we go. We're back here for episode 24 of Heintz Sight, folks, and what an MLB trade deadline, man. When's the last time that we have seen an MLB trade deadline that we just saw? Really, you know? I know on yesterday's show, I went into, obviously, the Pirates and what they did. But my Lord, man, everything, it was blockbuster-ish. And I can't remember the last time that we've seen something like that. And we're going to get into that here shortly. A lot of interesting, crazy things happened. But I'm also going to explain and talk about as to why these certain things are bad for baseball, too. At the same time, it's fun to kind of see what's going on, all the frenzy, all the chaos, right? Who's going where? Yes, that's always fun. But there's also implications as to why baseball is also a disaster at the same time. So we're going to get into that in about a minute or two here. It's kind of, there isn't really a ton in regards of reporting on in the NFL today. We know the Hall of Fame game's Thursday, and there's a couple things we'll dive into in regards to the NFL, and that's really going to be the basis, folks, of the show today. Honestly, we're still kind of waiting on, in regards of NHL free agency as well, and for that to kind of get underway and unravel. There were a couple NHL moves that were made, a couple trades. We'll talk about that later on the show, pretty briefly. But yeah, NBA, we had the NBA draft. We'll kind of dive into that a little bit. I didn't watch it. I think the NBA draft is terrible. But I'll dive in a little bit in regards to the first, maybe the first couple guys or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, this probably isn't going to be as long as a show as it was yesterday. And also, I was kind of debating about, not debating, but I was just thinking about, I'm telling you, man, friggin' allergy time out here is absolutely ridiculous, dude. It's insane how much my allergies have been affecting me this year. I've always had them, but I can't remember the last time they've been this bad. So, I was kind of debating on, maybe when to start recording if I kind of felt a little better a certain time, but it is what it is, whatever. So if you guys kind of, hear a little raspiness, maybe a little snuffle here or there, that's why. We got the allergies going on. But anyway, thank you all guys for tuning back in as well. If you guys missed yesterday's show, we pretty much talked about the Pirates trade deadline moves, what that kind of meant for them. We broke that down, went into Steelers training camp a little bit as that was getting underway, and we talked about the Penguins as they made a couple roster moves as well. But we also talked about what's really the key thing they have to focus on to really get forwards or really get back into that deep playoff run, Stanley Cup run, what they need to do. So we talked about that. If you're interested in Pittsburgh sports, things like that, check that out. That's on my channel. But thank you guys always for the support. Hopefully you guys are having a good Sunday to wrap up your weekends. But it's always appreciated, you guys tuning in and everything like that. Hit that like and subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. We were just trying to kind of keep growing here, and I'm trying to reach out to, just more and more sports fans. So if you haven't done that, that would be absolutely great. I'm not, if you feel like doing that, obviously it's appreciated. But let's dive into this MLB trade deadline stuff, man. Holy smokes. I mean, so many things happened. I don't even think I'm going to be able to, recap every single thing in the span of time that this show usually goes for. But here's what I'm going to start off with. So, we saw the moves that the Dodgers made, right? We saw they traded for Max Scherzer. There was a bidding war between them and the Padres for him. But they also acquired Trey Turner in that trade, and the Nationals got back Keibert Ruiz, who I believe is ranked 16th in all of baseball. I believe he's in AAA right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that was the package headed back to the Nationals surrounding him. So the Dodgers, we're looking at the Dodgers rotation right now. You got Max Scherzer at the top, Clayton Kershaw. You got Walker Buehler, Julio Urias, or Urias, whatever his name is. It would be Trevor Bauer, but the thing is, we know the Trevor Bauer situation is still ongoing, and he's kind of exempt from the team right now. And so kind of that fifth guy, they kind of have a plethora of guys they plug in there. Tony Gonsolin's been a guy that they've kind of been plugging in there. So I guess if you want to put him in there for right now, David Price is always an option. Dustin May is always an option. So they have a variety of guys. Now, looking at their infield, right? You got Max Muncy, you got Corey Seager, Trey Turner, Justin Turner as your infields. In your outfield, you got Mookie Betts, you have Cody Bellinger. I mean, and Pujols still plays too. You know, you got Chris Taylor, who's a really good player as well that can really play at any kind of spot. He was an all-star this year too, I believe for the first time. But, you know, the rich just keep getting richer here, folks. And, you know, we knew the Nationals, it was probably the right decision to trade Max Scherzer and get the best you can get for him because his contract's running up. He's 36. The Nationals are, you know, entering a rebuilding situation. But the Dodgers, you know, they're going for the repeat, obviously. But this is what the Dodgers do every year. You know, the Dodgers, money grows on trees for the Dodgers. You know, they buy the league. They buy whoever. You know, I mean, you got to give them credit. They're good at drafting. They're good at developments. You know, they always have a ton of prospects to work with that they can move to bring guys in to keep winning. You know, so this definitely makes the Dodgers obviously the odds-on favorite to win for sure. Now, will they? Who knows? But I mean, that's a tough rotation right there to battle every single game. You know. I mean, you got three perennial guys there at the top. You got a guy like Julio Urias, who's a young, upcoming guy. Bauer, when he's in there, you know, he's not a slouch. So, you know what I'm saying? But this is the problem. And we saw this with the Yankees, too. They acquired Anthony Rizzo. They acquired Joey Gallo. You know, this is the issue with baseball, folks, as we all know this. Baseball economically is absolutely terrible. Now, yes, it was fun to kind of see who's on the move and it just be this crazy, chaotic, you know, trade deadline going on. Obviously, that's very fun and entertaining, and as well for myself, who is a fan of baseball and MLB. But this is just the issue with baseball, folks. There's no salary cap. You know, you can go spend whatever you want to spend, really. And that's what sucks for the smaller market teams out there. Now, I'm not necessarily saying the smaller market teams can't compete, you know what I mean, or anything like that. We've seen the Royals win a World Series. The St. Louis Cardinals are always a stable franchise. You know, the Rays made the World Series. And the Rays have a really good farm system. And they're, you know, a young team that's been good. You know, and there's a variety of teams I can talk about. You know, I mean, Milwaukee's been a playoff team for X amount of years now. But still, it's just these teams, yes, even though they can compete and things like that, and some of them have had good stability over the years, they can't compete against these teams. The Dodgers, the Yankees, even the Giants sometimes, you know, they made a couple moves. You know, the Red Sox, you know, sometimes the Cubs, I guess, really over the last several years, maybe. But the thing is, the Cubs sold big time. So that's my point. It's just, this is the biggest gripe I think most people have with Major League Baseball is the fact that the economic system is absolutely an atrocity. It's the worst in all of sports. There's no cap or anything like that. So really, it's a free-for-all, and it's just the rich get richer in baseball. And that's really the most annoying thing. And that's why, you know, we always see teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees always, and I'm not taking away from, you know, that they're good at drafting and developing talent either, you know. But this is why they're always at the top two. I mean, load up their team, get whoever they can get. It's just insanity. And that's the number one annoying thing for me as a fan is I'm tired of seeing it every year. You know, and when you look at the Dodgers payroll, and now them acquiring Max Scherzer, who has like a $30 million contract, Trey Turner, who has like, you know, a $19 million contract or however much. Oh, yeah, just keep doing that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much your payroll is. I mean, what's their payroll now? Over $300 million? Yeah. What's that tell you? And you look at the Pirates and their payroll is like $40 million. Yeah. What a joke. And that's the thing for another time with Pirates. You know, forget that. But with this is just really the tough reality of Major League Baseball, man. If you're not a big market team, most likely odds are you're not competing with these guys, man. You might win a division. You might have a nice playoff run. Maybe you might be a Tampa Bay sometimes, one of these teams that does make a World Series. But in regards to that consistency and being able to keep that up, you can't keep that up. You can't keep that up, And once these guys are done with arbitration, you have these teams like the Yankees or Dodgers or whoever, they're just going to outbid you. You know what I mean? And go get these top guys. They're just going to outbid you. So I don't know if there's somebody out there that doesn't have a problem with that. I would love to know. And if you're somebody listening and you don't have an issue with the salary cap, you don't have an issue with, the economic strategy going on in Major League Baseball, let me know in the comments why. Genuinely, I would like to know. Because as a baseball fan, it's old. It's old seeing it every year. It's old seeing these teams just load up. And it's worse than the NBA as well. Now, I do enjoy the MLB product, obviously. I'm a baseball fan. And I still do enjoy, the product that is Major League Baseball, but it just gets old seeing it every year that these teams can just spend whatever money they want. They can go trade for whoever they want. No repercussions. There's no limit on anything. I don't understand it. I really don't. I don't understand why Major League Baseball doesn't put a cap on that. It's just mind-boggling, man. But the Dodgers made a big blockbuster trade, as we just talked about. Yankees, we just said that. Now, the Red Sox weren't nearly getting, on the level of the Yankees or Dodgers, but the Red Sox did get Kyle Schwarber, who's been having a nice year for the Nationals. They're getting that power in the lineup. And probably, I think the thing that stands out the most is what the Chicago Cubs did. The Cubs trading, here's the thing, the Cubs brought a Baez and a Bryant throughout the system and things like that. They finally kind of hit that in 2015 when they won 97 games, had a deep playoff run. I believe they made it to the NLCS that year, lost to the Mets, and then the year after that, they finally won a World Series. And a lot of us were like, you know what, this has the potential to be a dynasty, right? You had Bryant there, who's coming off an MVP season that year. You have Rizzo, who's one of the best first basemen. Baez is a nice upcoming power guy. Addison Russell, before he got in that trouble and disaster he got in and killed his major league career, wasn't a slouch there at short. You had Ben Sobrist, obviously a nice veteran guy. Jason Hayward they brought in. Arrieta, Lester. I mean, they had a really good plethora of guys. Were like, this could be a really good group, a promising group, and this has the potential to possibly be maybe somewhat of a dynasty in a way because of how much young talent they have. This team isn't going anywhere. Fast forward now, well, now they're all gone. The Cubs have probably been the most disappointing team in Major League Baseball over the last 5 or 6 years. After they won the World Series in 2016, they didn't win a championship. They haven't won a championship since then. And, I believe what year they missed the playoffs? 2019? I think they missed the playoffs in 2019. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they just weren't clicking, you know what I mean? They weren't having the deep playoff runs that they should have had. And it was at a point, with the Cubs, man, where they weren't winning with these guys. And I think it was probably the right thing to do for the Cubs. Now, as a Cubs fan, you obviously hate to see it, especially guys like Rizzo, who was Cubs through and through. Baez was probably the most expendable guy. And then, I think a lot of Cubs fans probably didn't want Chris Bryant to go. But I think it had to be done. It had to be done. Now I think the Cubs got a good haul back in regards to those trades. They sent Bryant to San Francisco, Baez to the New York Mets, and Anthony Rizzo to the New York Yankees. All three teams competing this year, competing not just for their divisions, but competing as well just to get in the playoffs, to have a good playoff run, and try to get a World Series. The Cubs, it was primed to happen, man. They have no starting pitching. Outside of really those guys, they don't really have much going for them. Now, the Cubs are a bigger market. The Cubs have definitely gone out and spent some money, and I'm sure they'll probably do that in the coming years as well. But it had to be done. They have to retool their farm system, things like that, get back into that. Now, this might not be a year on. Now, this might not be how it was before with the Cubs, just being straight poverty, rebuilding for all these years. No, it might not. It might just be, They might kind of be a mediocre, low-end team for, a short period of time as they're kind of retooling, regrouping themselves. They can go spend some money, bring some guys in, and they might be back in it before you know it. I don't know. I don't really know what their division is right now. And I'm not a Cubs fan, so I don't necessarily follow it the way I do as a Pirate fan. But it had to be done. It had to be done. And I think the Mets, obviously the Giants who got Bryant, but the Mets were in on him. I think maybe the Phillies might have been. I think I was surprised to see out of all of them Rizzo go, because Rizzo has kind of been the heart and soul of that team for ever since he's kind of been on there. But it had to be done. Had to be done. You know, you weren't winning with these guys. Baez is honestly kind of decreasing as the years go on. Rizzo's kind of getting older. Chris Bryant has had a nice season, nice bounce back year, but hasn't really been that kind of player the last couple years. He's an injury prone kind of guy too. And you just have to, as a team, you're not going anywhere with these guys. You're not winning. We have to move on. We have to kind of retool our farm system. You know what I mean? Get younger blood in here and try to do this thing again. You know what I mean? So it might not be it might not be a long-term thing for the Cubs. Who knows? You know, they might kind of be back in the mix of things before you know it. But that was very interesting coming out of there. We also have had guys like the likes of Kyle Gibson. I believe he was traded to the Phillies. He's had a great year for the Texas Rangers. And the Rangers have got a great haul over the trade deadline. I mean, they've got pitching lined up, you know, for the future, things like that. So, I mean, they're doing what needed to be done. The Diamondbacks traded Eduardo Escobar. That needed to be done. They still, you know, maybe the Diamondbacks, you know, you look at guys like a Walker or Peralta, but maybe there wasn't really much of a price there for them. But the Diamondbacks, they need a, you talk about no future. The Diamondbacks don't have any future at all. They have nothing going for them at all. They're going to be in the dumps for quite a long time because their farm, they don't have a whole lot going for them right now. And, you know, maybe they just didn't get enough offers for certain other guys. I don't know. Also, who was the other team I wanted to bring up? I can't remember who the other team I wanted to bring up. There's so many things that happened over the last day or two in baseball. I mean, it's unbelievable. But yeah, with Joey Gallo, they obviously got a big haul for him. So the Rangers are lined up pretty nice, man. You know, in regards of prospects, in regards of their pitching's lined up, you know, looking fairly nice. So the Rangers had to do what they had to do, man. They weren't going anywhere either. You're not going to keep a guy like Joey Gallo like that, ship him off to the Yankees. There you go. See you later. You know, but those were, I think maybe the most shocking trade was maybe the most shocking trade. I feel like Max Scherzer might have been the most shocking trade, being able to get that done because of how much money he's owed. You know what I'm saying? And you know, teams, you know, what you really have to kind of give up for him. Now, a lot of people were saying the Nationals might not have even gotten, you know, you would have thought they would have gotten more for that, you know, for that kind of price, a Trey Turner and a Max Scherzer. I don't know. We'll see what happens. One guy didn't get moved was Trevor Story. Trevor Story is still staying in the Rock in Colorado. I was surprised by the Reds, though. The Reds didn't really do anything groundbreaking in regards of, you know, getting a player in there. They got a couple relievers they added. But I was kind of surprised that they weren't really the buyers that I thought they were going to be. You know, to be quite honest with you, the Cardinals weren't buyers in any kind of way, really. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, you know, Nelson Cruz was traded to the Rays sometime last week. That's a big get for them. Big power bat right there in the middle of the lineup. So I don't know. But looking at really the outlook of teams right now, the AL East, you have the Red Sox leading that division. The Blue Jays are still in the mix of things. The Yankees, they're always going to be buyers, really. So the Yankees are still trying to make a roll in there. You obviously got the Rays. So that's a nice division. And, you know, what's going to happen there? I mean, if you have the Red Sox win the division, and you got the Rays and then the Yankees and the Blue Jays, there might be your two wildcard teams come out of that possibly, you know? And then you're also looking at a team like Houston. Seattle's having a really nice season. Maybe that some people didn't think they'd be as good as what they are. You know, the White Sox are running the Central there. So I think really the AL East is probably the biggest thing to look at, and go figure. That was kind of the division that had, I think, probably the most groundbreaking moves coming out of the American League. Now, also the Twins traded Jose Barrios. They traded him. Where did they trade him to? I'm trying to think where they moved Jose Barrios to. I can't remember where they moved him. I don't know why. I can't remember exactly where they moved him at. And now Oakland acquired Starling Marte from the Marlins straight up for Jesus Luzardo. 1-for-1 guy. Now Starling Marte has been a good outfielder in baseball really ever since he kind of really got going with the Pirates. But Jesus Luzardo has been a nice pitcher for the A's over the last few years. I was really surprised that they moved him just straight up for Starling Marte, but they have a couple good guys in the rotation still, But the A's strengthening up the top of the lineup there with Marte. So you still got the A's who, the A's are always like that team, dude, who are like always overlooked, and you might not expect them to really do a whole lot, but they always do. They're like good every year. They might not really make a run necessarily, but they're always like that team that's overlooked, that's always good, I swear. And looking at the outlook in the NL, obviously the NL West is crazy with the Padres, the Dodgers, and the Giants. All three teams bought pretty big over the trade deadline. You look at, the Phillies and the Mets and the Braves. The Braves I was kind of surprised with some of the moves the Braves made. The Braves, obviously we know they acquired Jock Peterson a little while back, but acquiring a guy like Richard Rodriguez, acquiring Adam Duvall. Let me see, who else did the Braves acquire? I'm trying to see here because they acquired about 4 or 5 guys. Trying to see who the Braves acquired. Let me look this up real quick because there were a few guys that I saw last night, but I can't remember. I can't remember every single guy they got. Eddie Rosario. Yep, there you go. Eddie Rosario is a guy. The Indians traded Eddie Rosario to the Braves. Let's see who else they got here. They got... Is it going to show me? No, it's not. All right. But Eddie Rosario, that's always a nice one. Oh, Jorge Soler. That was the other guy. Jorge Soler that they got from the Royals. I couldn't think. I knew it was an outfielder. They got Jorge Soler. So, the Braves really kind of, especially when Acuna went down, they were kind of at that 500 team. I definitely didn't think they were going to be buyers at trade deadline, but the fact that they got Eddie Rosario and Jorge Soler to kind of strengthen that outfield with Acuna out definitely might help them try to make a run. So, really, the Mets are kind of at the top there, but the Phillies are still trying to stay in the mix. The Braves are still trying to stay in the mix. You also got in the NL Central, obviously, with Milwaukee and the Reds kind of battling out that. I think those are probably the two teams going to come down to. Now, the wild card's going to be the wild card in the National League. It's got to be either the Dodgers, Giants, and Padres. It's got to be 2 out of those 3 teams got to be the wild card. So when we're looking at right now the National League, you have those 3 teams are probably going to make the playoffs for sure. And now you got one team out of the NL East between the Mets, Phillies, and Braves. That might come down to the wire for all we know. It's not like it's a major gap or anything between these teams. DeGrom's still out. The Mets were kind of struggling about a week or so ago. So that might not be, you know what I'm saying? And then you got in the NL Central really 1 or 2 teams that are going to come out of that. So I don't know. And then the AL, White Sox pretty much, going to come out of the Central there. You got the, Red Sox are obviously still in first place. Who knows? There's still 2 months of baseball left to play. We could see the Rays really make a stride. I think we could maybe see the Yankees make a stride. They got to get better with their pitching. They got to get more consistent with hitting. Blue Jays, I don't think the Blue Jays are there yet. I think the Blue Jays, they got great young talent. I'd like to give the Blue Jays 1 more year to really, then finally get over that hump. And then in the, you got teams like Oakland who are still trying to make a run, and it's pretty interesting, man. It's pretty interesting what's going to happen here. Baseball's just such a long season. And that's the thing. You could have a team who's in first place all the way throughout June. Little do you know, next thing you know, they're in 4th place before you know it, by the end of the year. So, I don't know, man. It was a fun trade deadline. It was a trade deadline I feel like we haven't seen in a long-ass time. Blockbusters after blockbusters, but it's just the thing that pisses me off, and I think a lot of baseball fans, is the fact that MLB doesn't do anything about anything, no salary cap, and just the rich get richer. And we see it every year, but specifically this year as well. It's just insanity, man. It really is. And it sucks because, like I said, you have these smaller market teams that aren't going to be able to compete with that. Bottom line there. Moving on here. So NFL. Okay, so we know training camp's going on. We know Hall of Fame games Thursday. But I know last week I talked about Aaron Rodgers. and that situation. Now, when I uploaded that video, that was before all the details came out. So we know Rodgers is with Green Bay this year. But here's the thing. So they reworked his contract, as I'm sure at this point in time, you all know this. Reworked his contract where if he's still unhappy about the situation in Green Bay, they will 100% trade him. And, to whatever team, he wants to go to, they will 100% trade him. He wanted Randall Cobb back. They went out and they acquired Randall Cobb for a late-round draft pick from the Houston Texans. It wasn't about the money for Aaron. They reworked his kind of contract and everything like that. And you know what I mean? If it's something where he wants to stay, okay, but he kind of aired out his grievances as well when he was being interviewed. But the thing is, like I said last week, guys, it was just a waste of everybody's time. It really was. This guy was saying it doesn't matter what Green Bay does. I'm out. I'm not coming back. And now he's all in on the Packers this year. It was just a waste of everybody's time, guys. And that's the thing. We see we kind of see this happen quite a bit where athletes are mad. They maybe threaten to hold out. They're not going to show up. Next thing you know, they're still playing for their team. But it definitely bodes well for Packer fans in regards of this year. Devontae Adams has even said that he's open to working an extension now with Green Bay. The fact that Aaron Rodgers is back and possibly still will be back as long as, he's happy this season. So, time will tell on the Aaron Rodgers situation, but some teams, if he doesn't come back to Green Bay next year, there'll be a plethora of teams, man, that are interested in him. Denver will probably still be interested in him. I could see Miami. There's a plethora of teams. The Giants maybe, I don't know. But there's a plethora of teams that will still be interested in him. But it was just annoying hearing all this, you know what I'm saying, all this commotion, all this stuff all offseason, and he's back. But hey, if you're a Green Bay fan, you're definitely happy about it. It's all over with. It's all behind everything. You don't have any more of this stuff going on. And you're ready to win some football games this year, man. So, I don't know. Time will tell on that. Now, there's some news that just broke about 15 minutes ago. I'm just seeing it now. Nick Chubb agreed to a 3-year, $36 million extension for Cleveland, and honestly, that's a pretty good deal. If you're Cleveland, Nick Chubb has gotten better by the year. Nick Chubb's easily a top 5 running back in my opinion. He's definitely a monster. Now, having that great offensive line in front of him definitely bodes him well, but nonetheless, I'm not taking away from his talent or anything like that, but wow, 3 years, $36 million extension for Nick Chubb. It's a pretty nice deal there for Cleveland, I think. So, I just wanted to mention that real quick because that just happened. I'm not really going to get into Cleveland. There's really nothing to talk about Cleveland or anything like that, but Nick Chubb staying with Cleveland for at least another 3 years with that contract extension. One thing that was kind of big and definitely is upsetting in regards, if you're a Colts fan, Carson Wentz is out with a foot injury. There's no timetable on his return. They just signed Nick Hundley today. I'm not really quite sure who their backup quarterbacks are. I don't think Jacoby Brissett's still on the team, is he? I don't think he is he? Let me see. Is Jacoby Brissett still on the team? I don't think he is. Yeah, he's with Miami. That's what I was saying. I didn't think he was still on the team. So I don't really know who all the backups are for the Colts, but that sucks, man. Indianapolis had high hopes this season. Now, this doesn't mean Carson Wentz is out long-term necessarily, but he's going to miss the rest of training camp. He's going to miss preseason, and he could potentially miss the beginning of the season as well. It's really not set in stone yet in regards of his return. He hasn't had surgery on his foot. This just happened a couple days ago. But, man, that sucks if you're a Colts fan because the Colts definitely have some promise this year with that defense. Definitely have some nice position players, and you are up now. Carson Wentz was bad last year, hasn't been that good the last couple years, but it's always good sometimes. Some guys, there's certain athletes, man, in all sports that just need a fresh start. They need a new place. Philly wasn't working for him. The coaching staff wasn't working with Carson Wentz. Now he's in a better situation with the Colts under a head coach who he's played for before. So it was definitely a better situation. But, man, that sucks being a Colts fan, and that sucks for the Colts team in general, not being able to have Carson Wentz. At least right now it's looking at to not start the season. So, and look, man, I like Carson Wentz. He's a nice guy, a nice dude. He was fun to watch in 16, and obviously 17 he got hurt later on in the year. But, you want to be able to see a guy bounce back, and unfortunately the injury bug hit him this time, so hopefully he can get back earlier on in the season and try to, revitalize his career in Indianapolis. But that's a hard bummer for the Colts, man, and who knows who the opening QB is going to be if Carson Wentz isn't there. If it's going to be Nick Hundley or whoever else they have, I really don't know. So that's really too bad. We also have Justin Houston inking a contract with the Baltimore Ravens. That's a good move for the Ravens, man. It is. 1 year, $4 million. Justin Houston's 32. He still has gas in the tank. He can still play. The Ravens needed some help on that edge, man. They had absolutely, with Judon gone, with, what's his face? Ngakoue gone. Their edge rushing was terrible. Edge rushing, and yes, Houston's a good addition. It was. But their edge rushers is still ass. I see them. They don't have anybody that really stands out that's going to make an immediate impact for the team. Now, there can be guys who step up, and have a nice season. But I could see the Ravens' edge rushers this year really being a rotational kind of thing. Now, they do have a nice D-line. Brandon Williams has been there for a long time. Calais Campbell, as long as he's healthy, I still think he can play a little bit. You still got Brandon Wolf back there. Their secondary is the strongest part of the defense. But their linebackers, I'm not too crazy on, to be quite honest with you. Patrick Queen, okay, cool. He had a nice rookie year. Other than him, LJ Fort, he's fit in well with the Ravens, but it's nothing really. It's really nothing. What's the word I'm looking for? Intimidating. I don't really see. I think linebacker is probably their weakest position. They have Tyus Bowser as an edge guy. They don't really have. They have Malik Harrison as another inside linebacker who is all right as a depth guy, but at the end of the day, they don't really have anything in regards. I feel like that's really going to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback this season compared to a lot of these other teams in the league. But Justin Houston will help that. Justin Houston, definitely a good signing for the Ravens. If you're a Ravens fan, I'm sure you like that signing. That's a good move there. But yeah, I don't know what it is with people thinking the Ravens are going to have this top defense. I really don't. I can name 8 defenses better than the Ravens. Now, the Ravens, they might have a 9-10 overall defense, maybe. They have one of the best secondaries for sure, but that front seven, I'm not impressed by it. I don't really think it's really all that good. So I don't really know what and still to this day, I don't really know what all the Ravens hype is necessarily this year. I really don't. Yes, I think Baltimore will have a winning record. I think Baltimore will probably be a playoff team as long as they're healthy. But that's the thing, I don't think they're going to be this 12, 13, 14 win team. I don't think they're going to be this team that, travels on into the AFC Championship game. You know what I mean? Has a deep playoff run. I don't see that. I don't see that at all. I still don't really like their offense. I think J.K. Dobbins, is going to be even better this year, being the full guy. Lamar Jackson didn't have, he definitely was figured out a lot more, was played a lot better this year than he was in 2019. Lamar's going to have to learn to pass the ball more. He's going to have to learn to be a better passer, because we all know that his number one thing is to escape out of the pocket, to move around, to run, you know what I'm saying? But I don't really like the receivers. Marquise Brown, what has he done? He hasn't really done anything ever since he's come in the league. Sammy Watkins is maybe a number 3 guy at best. They drafted Rashad Bateman. He's a question mark. He's a rookie. We'll have to wait and see. Mark Andrews is a nice tight end, But that's the thing. The thing about the Ravens is, yes, they have they have a different offense than really any other NFL team. I always give credit to them as a franchise. I always give credit to them in regards of how they're able to stay stable. But here's the thing, man. The Ravens I'm not too crazy about their defense. I'm sorry. Their secondary, yes. Overall, defensively, no. I'm sorry. Their rushing attack, yeah, I'm sure it's still probably going to be top of the league. That's who they are. That's their identity as a team. Why wouldn't it be? Their passing attack, not really. Doesn't really scare me. Their receivers, no. I'm sorry. I think Baltimore, as long as they can, you know what I mean, be on the field, stay on the field, yeah, I think they'll have success this year. Just like what we saw last year, sure. You know, they might be a 10-11 win team. But the thing is, there's nothing really about them that really stands out, as maybe some people say. You know, so I haven't personally found the hype from them this year. 2019, yes. Last year, they weren't as good. And this year, I just don't really see a whole lot in regards of, you know, me, oh my God, you know, the Ravens, you know, freaking out about it. So that's just my opinion. Let me know in the comments what you think. You know, NHL, man, you know, in regards to going around hockey, I'm not really going to talk much here with hockey, man. There isn't really a ton going on. Ryan Reeves was traded to the New York Rangers. If any of you guys are familiar with him, hockey fans, you know that. That's a good move for the Rangers, man. You know, the Rangers need that kind of physical guy, and Ryan Reeves is that. And obviously, I know he played for the Penguins. But other than the Ryan Reeves move, man, I mean, I don't know. Like, I haven't seen anything personally. I mean, let me look up here. Let's see if there's anything that has stood out that is happening in the NHL right now, because I haven't come across anything really in regards of this past week. Nothing's really been all that crazy. Investigation allegations against Evander Kane, gambled on games, okay, whatever that is. I mean, here's the thing, folks. You know, we talked about the expansion draft. We're kind of coming hot off the expansion draft. The NHL free agency hasn't hit yet, so we'll definitely be talking about that, getting into it. Jack Eichel, there have been rumors, but I haven't reported on it because nothing's really come to fruition on that. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, even just looking stuff up right now, like, there isn't really anything. There just hasn't really been anything happening in hockey right now. It's just been kind of cut and dry. It's been pretty much dead, really, the last week or two in hockey. So, you know, really, other than, you know, some extensions that have happened in hockey, maybe a move here or there, there hasn't really been anything happening. There's nothing really for me to talk about in hockey right now. You know, so it's off season. Trade deadline hasn't happened yet, or trade deadline. NHL free agency hasn't happened yet. You know what I mean? We're still a few months away from preseason, from the start of the year. So there isn't really, it's kind of right now is the dry time in NHL right now. You know, coming off expansion draft last week, that was fun to talk about, get into, but right now there isn't really anything happening. Just outside a couple extensions, you know, there's nothing really to dive in and really talk about right now in hockey. So I don't know. I think we're just going to end it there, guys. Like I said, this wasn't going to be as long of a show as it was yesterday. Yesterday, we went about an hour. Today, I mean, we're probably going to be going a little over a half hour, I'm assuming. But yeah, I mean, really, I wanted to get on here and really kind of go into depth, into detail on the MLB trade deadline, because that was the biggest thing that happened this week and the hottest topic, and there were just a lot of things that happened. So I wanted just to kind of go into detail on that, give my thoughts on that. And obviously with the NFL, we have a few things going on, as we just kind of briefly mentioned. But I'm excited for the Hall of Fame game Thursday. That's going to be exciting. That's going to be an exciting time. Everybody's ready for football being back. Fantasy football is coming up as well. And I might dive in a little bit in regards to fantasy football, in regards to talking it. You know what I mean? Maybe what my team's looking like, or, you know what I mean? Maybe some guys that might be under the radar, you know, once we kind of get closer and stuff like that. There's some people out there that I've seen have drafted already. I'm like, what are you drafting for? I've seen people that have drafted in June and July. I'm like, what are you drafting for right now? Have fun with that. I don't feel sorry for you if one of your players gets gets injured or traded or something like that. That's your fault for drafting that early. Not, you know, so that's your problem. Obviously, I don't want an injury to happen, but I'm just saying, drafting that early, if something happens to one of your guys before the season starts, I don't know what to tell you at that point. I think drafting in fantasy is probably best to do it once preseason's all said and done. That's what I do. But yeah, anyway, I'm looking forward to the Hall of Fame game. Football's back. We're all excited for it. It's going to be great. It's great. It's already August 1st. It's crazy, man. This summer's flown by. I remember first starting this podcast back at the end of May, and I'm like, man, I can't wait for summer to come by, and the summer's already gone. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of summer necessarily. I like the, activities and things you can do during summertime. I hate hot weather. I'm ready for fall, folks. Fall is my favorite. And obviously, with football season coming up, we're getting closer and closer to that, which is great. But yeah, we'll see what I'm going to do for next week's show, because I'm leaving later tonight to go on vacation. So what we're going to do for next week's show, we're probably going to do Sunday, Monday, or Monday, Tuesday. Excuse me. And I'll keep you updated on that. That's why I put out there, follow my Facebook page, folks, at Heintz Sight, to keep up with the channels, keep up with updates, things going on. My Twitter, Nate_Heintz. Instagram, Nathan_Heintz, to keep up with the channel. If you want to interact with me, if you guys want to talk sports, we can all do that. But let me know, your guys, in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on today's show, folks. Let me know your thoughts on the MLB trade deadline. What do you think about baseball? Let me know your thoughts on the salary situation, the economic situation, on the moves being made. Let me know your thoughts in regards of the things we talked about around the football, around the NFL. Let me know your thoughts about preseason coming up and your excitement ready for the football season, or even if you want to talk some fantasy, whatever it might be. But yeah, that's going to be a wrap, folks, for episode 24. Like I said, we're all very excited. Preseason Thursday, Hall of Fame game. And, I'm excited to, as we get deeper and deeper into the preseason, and especially once we start hitting the regular season, there'll be a lot of things NFL related to talk about. Like I said, we'll also be talking some college football on this channel as well. And it's gonna be an exciting time, man. MLB, we're getting it's gonna be getting closer come that time, toward playoff time. Also with hockey as well, with free agency, things like that. We'll be talking about all of it, man. We'll be talking about all of it. And also, I just thought about, I forgot to talk about the NBA draft. There's really not much to get into, folks. I'm not really going to talk about it a whole lot. We know Cade Cunningham went number 1. Personally, I didn't really follow college basketball last year, just because of everything going on. I love college basketball, I do, but everything going on, it kind of sucked me out of it. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't really all that familiar with a lot of guys being drafted, but I was just going to kind of talk about Cade Cunningham a little bit, or things like that. But here's the thing. To me, there's really not much to go into anyway. It was going to be like a 1-2 minute brief talk anyway. I was going to talk about it, so it is what it is. But yeah, like I said, you guys are awesome. Thank you always for your support and things like that. Like I said, as I mentioned in my social media, give those a follow to keep up with the channel. And yeah, enjoy your guys' weekend, guys. I'm looking forward to being back here next week as we get closer, as we approach, as we're really in the mix of things of the NFL preseason and things like that. Like I said, we're going to be covering it all here, folks. So, again, you guys are awesome. And we'll see you next week, whether it be Sunday or Monday. Keep up with the updates, and I'll let you know. But, all right, guys, we will see you soon, and enjoy Thursday, the first night back of football. So enjoy it, guys. We'll see you here sometime next week. All right, guys, enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you later.